Welcome back. We are now shifting a bit from the conversation on the budget to now look at some, let's say, activism taking place at the university level, and it's more or less being advocates on behalf of the Vice Chancellor. We know that at the University of the West Indies, there is a Chancellor and a Vice Chancellor, and the Vice Chancellor usually is more involved in the public face of the university, looking at leading even a number of committees on campus and so forth. But to spread the Vice Chancellor's eyes and ears among all campuses, we have the UWI STAT ambassadors, and the STAT there stands for Students Today, Alumni Tomorrow. This morning, joining us to speak about the organization, we have with us the President of UWI STAT St. Augustine, Shania Samaroo, and Vice President of Programming and Volunteerism, Darron James. Good morning, Shania and Darron, and welcome to AM Prime.
Good morning, Mr. Edwards.
So,
Good morning, thank you for having us.
Tell us a bit about your involvement in UWI STAT. How long have you all been a part of the organization, and what it is that drew both of you to UWI STAT? And I'll start with you, Darron. Darron?
I've been a member of UWI STAT for a little bit over a year. And what I've contributed so far is surprisingly quite a lot, but not a lot, in the sense that in our activism, I contributed to, I have been in programming and volunteerism, but I contributed to other communities as well, especially in the face of climate change and disaster mitigation in the Caribbean. And that was in an international forum, which was something I did not experience. I could have never thought to experience. I was quite an experience and learning opportunity for me to engage with persons from Canada, Zimbabwe, the Europe countries on the whole. It was quite fantastic.
Nice. And Shania?
Quite surprisingly, I have only been a part of UWI STAT for this year, I would say. I recently joined, and after joining, I was able to succeed in the elections to become president.
So not many people would know, at least through the show since I've been here, that I have actually been involved in UWI STAT on campus, and I served as Vice President for communications, especially taking up that portfolio. And UWI STAT really, it allows you a number of opportunities to learn and grow on campus, to spend your time, aside from academics, into areas of volunteerism, and in such the case, programming as well. So Darron, what are some of the initiatives that UWI STAT has been looking toward? Because we know we are in a pandemic, but that doesn't stop a lot of activities from taking place, because the show has to go on at the end of the day. So what are some of the initiatives that you can tell us about that UWI STAT is seeking to embark upon?
Currently, surprisingly enough, we had a meeting about this last night with my committee. We're trying to break that stigma of trade and junior sec by attempting to introduce skill learning students at the secondary level as extracurricular. For example, in inviting CCC and YTEP and Soval and so on, to really show other students how to do certain trades, plumbing, electrical work, woodwork, and so on, as much as we could online. And as time goes on, we could investigate how to do it in person or a hybrid method. Yes. Just for the sake of one, breaking that stigma amongst different schools and different classes that we have within the school system, and ensuring that the youths now have something. If something minor breaks in the household, do you know how to not electrocute yourself while being curious, and things like these. And that's right now our biggest outreach initiative, where we're thinking about breaking that stigma amongst trade.
Yes.
This quotation marks we have around trade in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, we have a particular stigma when it comes to persons who do trade work in this country. But the ironic thing is that we depend on them more heavily, I think, than some of the more persons who have that academic prowess and so forth. Because you think about a mechanic, you think about people to fix things around your homes, but also we think at a bigger level, even mechanical engineers on big projects and so forth. But Shania, in terms of navigating UWI STAT St. Augustine through this pandemic, how has that been, especially coming in as a president for the organization in the midst of the pandemic? How has that been for you?
It has been a little challenging, I'm not going to lie, but we will get through it. And so we have been in deep conversation, sorry. And we have been trying to navigate. So we are currently planning a lot of online, virtual experiences, virtual webinars, all these different things. Surprisingly enough, yesterday we hosted our first Speak with STAT, which is a series that we intend to do every other month under the Alumni Relations Committee. We intend to do that every other month, and it would bring to light conversations that we don't usually have. It would bring more information. So yesterday's webinar, we invited the Vice Chancellor, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, who spoke to reparations and global injustices across time.
A heavy topic. And I know that even engaging in those kinds of discussions, it takes away the physical environment and experience that one would have. But I just want to mention some of the main objectives that we have here when it comes to UWI STAT is to promote UWI, foster Pelican pride and loyalty to its alma mater, to encourage Caribbean integration and the CARICOM single market and economy, to provide HIV/AIDS prevention in the Caribbean, and to promote disaster mitigation and climate change resilience. Now, Darron, in terms of Pelican pride, because that's something huge when it comes to UWI STAT, what does Pelican pride mean exactly?
What Pelican pride, it differs from person to person. What Pelican pride really means to me is having that pride, that sense of belonging to UWI, that sense of I want to see myself, I want to see this university succeed. As long as I am here, I would have an input, I have a positive input in the progression of the name of the UWI. And in very short terms, Pelican pride is that loyalty, it's that love for where you are and what you're doing.
And just so for persons who are not aware, the pelican is more or less, I don't want to say a mascot, but essentially when it comes to the university as a whole, and you would see on the university crest there being a pelican, it really is a symbol of belonging to the university. So Pelican pride represents that, as Darron would have mentioned. Now, Shania, in terms of managing through not just the pandemic, but we're seeing a number of issues as it relates to education and education changing. You may be seeing in some cases people not returning to tertiary education during this pandemic, during this period. Numbers are falling and so forth, but engagement is so very important. Is there a concern of interest of people coming on campus and being willing to join organizations such as UWI STAT? Do you all have a drive that you're currently engaging in to get people to not just know more about UWI STAT, but to actually sign up and become a UWI STAT ambassador?
Definitely. So there, as you mentioned, there is a drop. And through the Alumni Relations Committee, we are currently in the planning stages. We hope to launch very soon to spread that message of what UWI STAT really is, what we embody, and why it's so important to keep ties with your alma mater. We are currently trying to do that with the assistance of the alumni itself. So we have this platform, UWI Connect, and so the Alumni Relations Committee is spearheading that initiative, and we are trying to do a workshop where we invite patients and spread the news, give them more information, insights on tertiary education and why it's so important to be loyal to pledge that allegiance that we embody.
And in terms of the Footprints project, Darren, tell us a bit more about that. What exactly is Footprints as it relates to UWI STAT?
Beautiful question, actually. That Footprints project is where we leave our mark, we leave an impression in persons' lives, not just in the sound or the dates, but in their lives, in their hearts. What did the UWI do? They helped, they give back to the community that really created and helped sustain the UWI. Without these individuals in the country, in the Caribbean, the UWI is nothing. Without that support, the UWI is nothing. So we need to show appreciation to our students and the country as a whole. It's not just for the students, it's for the country as a whole.
Yes.
Each individual UWI STAT does it on their campus. So it's really about giving back from our hearts, not our pockets, from our hearts to the persons of the country.
Sure. And I just want to mention to our viewers some of the committees, because I know that Shania has been mentioning the Alumni Affairs Committee. Well, at the UWI STAT, there are different committees and they are represented usually by different vice presidents. So you have, for instance, CARICOM Relations, you have Alumni Relations, membership, and communications, of course, a number of different organs or committees of the UWI STAT moving forward. So guys, just in wrapping up, I want to find out, what messages do you have to the students right now who have come into the UWI fold, who are experiencing things in the midst of the pandemic? Because surely the UWI experience for you guys is quite different from the UWI experience from that I had while on campus there during my time on the UWI STAT and on the Guild of Students. But what messages do you have for those students who are a bit concerned, who are fearful, who are worried moving forward, navigating through this pandemic right now? Shania?
So simply what I would say is, UWI STAT, we have a place, we support you, we understand that, we live in unprecedented times, and we are here to support you with whatever you may need, whatever you require. Whether you are a member of UWI STAT or not, once you belong to the UWI community, you belong to us, and we are here to support you. We understand, but of course, we will get through this together.
Nice. And Darron?
I would say to all you students out there who are concerned about not getting the experience of being on campus, still try. You would not believe the experiences you can have online. And when it comes to fruition and physical campus, it's just an addition. You're not new to anything. You're just an addition of the full experience. I ask you to please still try. It's a lovely experience. You will not regret it.
Excellent. And before we run off there, I just want to mention some of the other committees. You have the Disaster Mitigation and Climate Change. That falls under that relevant Vice President there, Darron. Darron, as I mentioned before, is the Vice President of Programming and Volunteerism. And the final post that we have there is Communications and Internal Relations, the post that I held many moons ago. But guys, thank you so much for joining us this morning morning, bringing some awareness to UWI STAT and letting people know, of course, what the organization is all about and that you guys are there to support them throughout their university experience. So thanks so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. It was a pleasure.
And that was the President and Vice President of UWI STAT, St. Augustine, Shania Samaroo, and Darron James. We're going to take a break at this point, and when we come back, we have more for you here on AM Prime. Stay with us.